All right, let's talk about fatigue because I'm bloody knackered and I'm sure you are too. It's been such a tough couple of years, and I keep hearing people saying, why am I so tired? Why can't I just pick up and get on with things? Surely I should be used to all of this by now, right? But we're not. We're not used to it. We're struggling, many of us, with tiredness and fatigue and even overwhelm. And I wanted to touch base on some of the concepts I've already talked about, normalizing and validating those experiences of fatigue. It is really common right now for people to be feeling just exhausted. I also want to remind you that it's really important to also get your physical health checked out. I know from personal experience, twice in the past 2 years, my iron levels have been ridiculously low, which has not helped at all. But also to remember there are reasons why we are so tired all the time. And I think we are so focused on the pandemic and so focused on lockdown that we forget that this started 2 years ago, a bit over 2 years ago now, when we think of the first bushfires that started the 2019 bushfire season, and how we had months of quite terrifying and devastating bushfires around Australia. So let's not forget, it has been a bloody exhausting 2 years. And I remember, as a mental health professional and my colleagues and I talking at the time during the bushfires, how stressed we felt and how it really impacted our summer break period, being conscious of what was going on in communities around Australia and worrying for those community members and feeling really helpless to do anything practical to help those communities. Many of us said at the time we were hanging out for Easter holidays to feel like we could have a proper break because the summer holiday really didn't eventuate. Um, and then, of course, COVID hit. So it's been 2 years of bushfires and lockdowns and remote learning and homeschooling and working from home and adjusting to everything. Adjusting takes energy, and it is tiring in itself. Change is tiring in itself. And over the past 2 years, we've just had rolling changes and rolling adjustments. And it's just been like being in a little bit of a tumble dryer, spinning round and round and round, trying to find our feet and trying to adapt to ever changing circumstances. So if you think about the resources that you have at your disposal to cope with change and to cope with stress and to cope with the impact on your sleep and all of these things, think of it like a bucket. And our bucket, holds all of our coping resources for us. And it might, as we use some of our resources, the bucket's still there, and we can top up that coping bucket with other resources like good sleep, good diet, talking to a friend, all of those normal strategies to help us get through tough times and rebuild our coping resources. The trouble is, with all of the things that we've been dealing with over the last 2 years, uh, we've just had these constant holes being poked in the bottom of our coping bucket, and we've not been able to stop the holes being poked in the bucket, repair the holes that were already there, and top up the resources that were the bucket's trying to hold. So there's no surprise, really, when we think of it in those terms, that we're just so damn tired. So, what do we do about that? First and foremost, please, self compassion. I've mentioned this before. Self compassion just means stop giving yourself such a hard time. Just be a little gentler and kinder to yourself. Treat yourself as you would somebody you really love dearly and want nothing but the best for. Treat yourself like that. So stop giving yourself a hard time. Stop pressurizing yourself to be able to do more than what is reasonable, given how exhausted you are. Do your best to get good sleep, eat well, get outside, get fresh air, talk to people, do the right things to look after yourself, but really be kind to yourself. Normalize your experience, validate your experience. I talked about these things yesterday. And take mini breaks often. None of us has had a proper holiday for a really long time, right? There are still border closures, there are travel restrictions, there are so many reasons, even if you're not in lockdown, why you might not have had the kind of holiday that you're used to. So if you can take breaks, absolutely do. If you just down tools for a while, school holidays is a really good opportunity to down tools and just be present with your kids if you've got them. Um, but take your weekend breaks, step away from your desk, stop working on the weekend, stop working after hours, says she who shouldn't be talking to you at 5:35 p.m. But make sure you also take all those little reset and refresh breaks I talked about the other day, where you just grab a cup of tea and sit in the sunshine and give yourself a little bit of a breath and a bit of a calming moment. Mini breaks can be just as helpful as long-term holidays. And by long term, like that lovely long summer holiday we were all hoping for years ago, back in the days when you could have one of those lovely things. So be kind to yourself, look after yourself, and take mini breaks to try and recharge your batteries as best you can. Over coming days, a couple of the other topics I will talk about are acceptance and control. So for now, just understand you need to let go of the things that you can't control the outcome of. If it's not within your circle of control, let it go, pick your battles, and focus on the things that you can change for now. And stop giving yourself such a hard time. It's okay. Talk to you soon.